I kind of also took the thought, what is there to lose? And I read about it and researched it and thought, okay, I'll give it a try, right? So the first 2 weeks, the patches sat in an envelope inside of a box on my dresser. And I know that they're not as effective there. So it makes a big difference once you actually put them on. So that's one thing. But the other thought was, and then I started researching because I knew the people I wanted to share it to, and so I knew the questions that were going to come. So I started reading up, and the first thought was I've been studying nutraceuticals now since about 1989. Okay, so nutraceuticals are like nutritional supplements that have kind of like pharmaceutical impact. So they're called nutraceuticals. And so I had a doctor who was in Everett, Washington, just north of Seattle, who was a professor at the University of Washington Med School, who in 1989 had already written 3 books on wellness medicine. So he was way ahead of the curve, right? So that's where I first started researching that. Probably about 8 years ago, as I'm talking to different people, I read more and more about the health benefits of glutathione and a whole bunch of these others. So I've been really interested in that. So once I got to the website and I read the study on glutathione, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like who gets those results? I don't know any other nutritional supplement or whatever to get that glutathione result. So I was convinced of that. Then I bought John Harmon's book that described how the patches would raise GHK copper peptide, and then all the benefits in your body of GHK copper peptide. The interesting thing is, I'm sure a lot of these things are like other things going on in your body, you can't feel it. You might not be able to feel you've got high blood pressure. You might not be able to feel that you have something good or bad going on. But a lot of these nutraceuticals, medicines are in fact working, right? So after I read that book, I'm like, okay, we're in, So I started reading that book. And then because of just having studied this stuff for 30 years, you kind of get interested once you go down the rabbit hole. And so then I took out another book out of the library called We Are Electric, because it was similar, right, to this phototherapy we're talking about. And this book, We Are Electric, was written by Sally Adee, just came out this year. Fantastic. She starts with the history of how scientists have been trying to figure out how the nervous system works, or even what is the nervous system, because this is early 1800s that research starts. So you'd be amazed at how smart and investigative these scientists were in the early 1800s, right? And trying to figure this out and conclusions they were coming to and what it's built up today. To the degree now, they did research recently, late 90s, early 2000s, and they're thinking, well, wait a minute, there's signals that are being passed within the body that are outside the nervous system. We kind of thought the nervous system did everything, like did all the communication, and then they found out, nope. What we found out is that there's an electrical field on each cell in your body, and that if your body wants to communicate real quick, don't need to go through the nervous system, you can, but we'll communicate with the cell right next to us. So then, so through electrical charges. It's a brilliant book. It's expensive. That's why it's great to have a library who has it. But I think anyone would find this interesting. So the thought is as you look into the creative order and realize how phenomenal the human body has been created, and all the different systems in it, like the lymph system, the electrical system. Now they're calling it the electrome. Like the microbiome, they're calling it the electron, the whole system of electricity that's operating in your body. Which then points to the fact that you need electrolytes, because electrolytes give you ions and they communicate through ions. There you go. Just thought I'd throw it in there. But but that's why a lot of times you'll find out that there's these products or these things that we know that work, but they didn't necessarily know how they worked. But they worked. And now, as they're discovering more and more about how the lymph system, blood system, circulatory system, muscle system, all that, electrical system, it's all integrated, it's all working together. And so what does it take to get things to run in sync? So I just say that because I get excited the more I study science, and my background is more in agriculture and food. So you have equally tremendous things being discovered in agriculture and the food system as well. That plant cells also have an electrical charge around the perimeter of the cell, for plants. So, and that's a whole nother issue, right? So I could talk a long time, but I want to get to the next person. But just to say, there's a lot of science behind it, and there's a lot of science to discover. But it's been exciting. Within the third day of me starting the patches, I felt like I have a ton of energy. I don't need coffee, I don't need tea, I don't want it, right? I'm up, I slept a good night, and I'm up, and I'm ready to take on the world. And the world is also ready to take me on too. You all know what that's about. So, but I could talk further. We're glad to talk to other people about it. But it's been fantastic. And the longer I'm on it, I feel like thinking, well, maybe that positive energy stuff will just wear off, and it was just a quick hit. But actually, it's cumulative and it keeps going. So
Something about your shoulder.
I've had great results.
Your shoulder.
Okay. So where are my patches? Okay. I'm trying to think. I've got one on my shoulder. That's going to be, I do 2 at night and 2 during the day. So X39 and glutathione during the day, and then the Aeon patch and the carnosine in the evening. I might switch that up, but anyway, those are the 4. I started with the X39. That's all it took within 3 days of me getting energy. Right. So anyway, if I can encourage any of you, and the whole thought is just to try it. Right. Just okay. I'll get a silver package or whatever, and just try it for 2 months and see what happens.
What's the name of the book again? My Electric Body?
Oh no, there's several books, but the one that I read was called We Are Electric.
Oh, We Are Electric.
We Are Electric by Sally Adee, and it was published this year. So there's not a lot of 2023 books, right? So, well, there probably are, but not on that topic. So. But there are, if you look on Amazon and you put like Body Electric, you'll find like 4 or 5 books, a lot of them very highly rated, on this whole electrical system inside of our bodies.